Hello and welcome to episode 24 of War Down South, the fortnightly Warhammer podcast from the south coast of the UK. I am, as ever, your host, Mr. Callum Slater, and I'm joined by the two most handsome men in the world of Warhammer, Mr. Sam Nice.
Hello.
And Mr. Ricky Robson.
Hey, why were you laughing?
No reason.
Fight?
This week is AoS 3 launch week, and the team will be going over some of our favourite rules changes, structure changes to army lists and AoS, and what we're intending to be using. It's a wonderful journey of discovery because it seems like one of us has read the rules and the other two haven't. So many tangents, many random discussions, and many instances of flicking through the new General's Handbook. So sit back, grab a stiff drink, and let's roll. Okay, fantastic. Thanks for joining us this week, everybody. Callum, Ricky, and Sam, as usual. How are you, gentlemen, this week? Starting with Sam.
I am okay. I'm all right. Yeah. Not too bad. Been doing a lot of studying this week, so cramming extra stuff in my brain, so other important stuff falls out of it. I'm brilliant.
And how are you, Ricky? Everything good your end?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Busy. Very, very busy. We're not too far away now from the first of the year's events.
Woo!
So yeah, I'm in full blown admin mode.
full blown insomniac TO mode.
Yeah. It's good fun.
Do not envy you, my friend.
It's all right. I got this.
But glad it's you, not me, because you put on fantastic events. So.
Thanks, man.
No,
appreciate it. Mwah.
I'm fine, by the way.
Sorry, I was just
nobody filling that pause. So yeah, now I'm all good. Thank you very much, guys. And obviously, we hope that all of our listeners are fine and dandy, getting through life okay over the last couple of weeks, building up to the big release day. And like Ricky said, looking forward to Confrontation Summer Showdown, defending my one and only Confrontation Championship after a 3-year hiatus, I think. Summer Showdown.
Let me see. Summer Showdown was 2017. So
4-year hiatus. So so probably not going to do too well. So looking forward to that.
People have learned how to play since then.
Yeah, that was at the start of 8th edition. So
yeah, and it was a one-day event.
It doesn't matter. I still won.
Let's make this worthless.
Still counts. It's not worthless. It means lots to me. Any hobby? Obviously, you've been doing a lot of confrontation prep. Have you been able to do anything modelling wise, Ricky?
I actually have. I've been putting some Harlequins together.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my.
I'm struggling. So we obviously got Pompey Pillage coming up as well in August. And so for me, it's actually an event I play at rather than just sit in a hall. So
you don't play.
No, I don't play. So I'm hoping to be able to get there. I'm just waiting for to confirm something and then purchase my ticket. So it's kind of trying to put a list together of what I own that isn't going to be too much of a hindrance on me trying to get confrontation sorted. So I just started gluing some Harlequins together to bolster out up to 2K, and then glue some little bits of craft worlds together to see what I've got there hanging around, and that's it really. Like it's just gluing shit together really. Crap.
That's cool. No, it's good to see more of your Harlequins out there. Always a fun to play against. And obviously you haven't really got to use them in this year at all.
No,
So,
September last year probably was the last time I touched them.
oh, gross.
Last time I played. Oh no, we
Sad,
played.
neglected clown noises.
Yeah, we played a couple of months ago.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wah.
And what about yourself, Sam? Any hobby to share with the
got some bits and pieces done. So I started work on the final unit of the Grey Kniggets. So I've got a big unit of 10 paladins on the way. And although it's the easiest step, getting the metalwork to the right shade before I do everything else, it takes longer than all the details, is what it feels like. Just brushing different layers of silver on just to get it to the right shade before I do everything else. So I've started that. They're well on the way. And as it's new edition day for Age of Sigmar, I started work on Chaos Harambe, which is the latest incarnation of the Skylar Anfingrim model. So I started him up. I actually started painting it this morning. I had a nice long, windows open, sun's out, nice breeze coming in, bit of painting, music blaring, lovely, nice relaxing morning.
Oh, nice. Is that for your Blades of Corn, is it? Yeah,
Blades of Corn.
Looking forward to seeing that. We'll post some pictures up of some hobby as well. That sounds good.
Now I know you've been up to some.
Thanks for asking, gents.
God, I just feel so forced today. Jeez.
You deaf old bastard.
Yeah,
that's what I meant. Thanks for asking. It sounded sarcastic. Yeah, it did sound sarcastic. It was as sincere as I get. I've been doing some hobbies. So I've been motoring through, getting my Mechanicus ready. Probably not ready for Confrontation Summer Showdown in 2 weeks, but
boo!
You can do it.
Yeah, I do have the entire week off beforehand, but I'm not sure if I want to put myself.
You've not done this before.
Yeah, I know, but we'll see. Luckily, I've got Knights in the back pocket, so other 40k armies.
Big pockets.
Because I got a big ass.
Like a wizard's sleeve.
That's not what we meant.
Wonderful. So I've been hurriedly still putting stuff together for that, undercoating and base coating. Last night and so far today, I've been doing some work on my Corpuscari Electro Priests. So getting them down, they're out of everything my guilty pleasure unit in the army, just because I like the shirtless, skirt wearing jazz hand guys, because they are they're some of the coolest models in the Mechanicus range, in my opinion.
They are cool.
And out of all the models in 40k, there was something that had rules like a million years. Like they originally appeared in the Black Codex, which was pre-second edition, maybe, I think. So it took 30 years for them to actually get a miniature for something that had rules ages ago. So yeah, I'm with you on that. They're a guilty pleasure unit.
Yeah, they're just very cool. The Fulgurites, I think, are better, and I've got the bits and pieces to make some units of Fulgurites, and I'll probably pick up some more as well. But the guys deep striking in and then just jazz handing stuff to death is very cool for me. I like that. I'll pop some pictures up in my progress of that. Played a game this week against regular listener and local Havenite, Mark Pearson.
Havenite.
Havenite. Well, you're the only one from Haven, so
I actually am the only one from Haven.
Yeah. Scum.
So,
hey, you can't pass out your city without passing through my town, bitch.
I can't talk. I'm from fucking Hastings, mate.
Oh yeah, you can. Yeah, you can
it's not Hailing Island.
Yeah, true.
I had a game against his Novok Necron list on Thursday. Just trying out some things for my Metallica Mechanicus. And I'm sure Mark doesn't mind telling me telling people how much I kicked the living shit out of his stuff. I
get a new army list submission now because it's I'm not taking Necrons.
There was a lot of sad and happy beeping on that table.
There was a lot of happy beeping on my sort of end. Unfortunately, like his army sort of revolves around getting to the middle of the table and then just overwhelming people with Necron warriors, with Gorse flayers, and then a big unit of Lich Guard. But my pre-game moves and my
Zarek.
No, he's got so it's Novox, so it's Anrakar, the Traveller. He
needs the king.
Yeah. But with my infiltrators deploying midboard and the
you cock blocked him basically.
Yeah, and the Cerberus cavalry being able to pre-game move, Mark went first and then couldn't Veil of Darkness up the board, so he essentially killed those 2 units, and then I started deleting things. It was good fun. I had lots of fun. So it was a good game.
That's what matters. That's what it's about. As long as you have fun.
Trying things out and then just getting all of my rules down is the important thing. As long as there's another humanoid on the other side of the table, then I can count it as practice. So that's cool. Yeah, so that was very fun. So what news have we had from the World of Warhammer over the last week or so?
There's a new edition of a game.
I had heard that.
Oh, that's the Necron going by, wasn't it?
Yeah, so apologies. Unfortunately, Fawcett Road in Southsea is the moped speedway of Portsmouth. Yes, of course. Age of Sigmar 3.0, Age of Sigmar the Third, Age of Sigmar 3 with a Vengeance. Released today with the Dominion launch box, with the new Stormcast Eternals and Crawl Boys. What do we think? Are we very excited for some Age of Sigmar?
I'm excited for some Age of Sigmar.
I am very excited for some Age of Sigmar.
We were having a chat earlier this week when I was contemplating whether I wanted to buy 2 Custodes Dreadnoughts or Kragnos. I think we worked out that I was going to go towards Kragnos because, it's new, it's shiny, it's big goat man. I just haven't bought it yet. So that's that. Yeah, no, I was going to after this weekend when I sat back down and stared at it a bit more, and then felt like
treat yourself.
I had to
have a break from manufacturing innumerable game boards and buy yourself a treat.
Yeah.
So that's Kragnos with some Ogre Moor tribes and going full on monster mash. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah, I quite like the idea of him with like a million gluttons running around him.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I have a soft spot for gluttons, and I think it's really odd that now they're on a round base. I find them quite cute.
They do look like the sort of one thing about them when obviously they were introduced into Warhammer Fantasy when they were on the 40mm square bases, they did look like a bit too regimented.
Yeah.
But now obviously, like I said, you put them on 40mm rounder bases, and then you can obviously assemble them however you want on the.
They got a lot more character now.
Yeah, for sure.
Now there, because you don't have to actually build them as rank and file either, so you don't have to have those weapons up against the shoulders. Nicely, yeah, exactly. Yeah. The classic rank and file. So yeah, that's I do like them. Plus, I really like Yetis. Not many people out there that do. So.
You've mentioned your love of Yetis before.
Have I?
Yeah. I'm sure we've had a conversation where you're like, I think I'm the only person that likes Yetis.
Yeah. It was probably the last Age of Sigmar tournament we went to, where I was the only guy there with Yetis.
Yeah, I do.
The Yeti.
I do remember you using them because they were in one of the original Beast Claw battalions, weren't they?
They were, yeah. I used to get 3, so obviously I bought 2 of those boxes. So I ended up with a big unit of 6, and they've always fared me really well because they're -1 to hit, and they used to be able to
Pile in
like
6?
pile in 6,
Yeah.
and they used to be able to run and charge if they were in X amount of inches of a thunder tusk. So they were pretty cool.
Ah.
But you know,
Do they still do that now?
no idea.
I like Yetis.
I don't know what they do.
Them.
How do you spell Yeti?
YHE
double T. Yeah, look it up.
That's what I'm doing. There we go.
Let's find out.
They're
They're still -1. I know that. -1
yeah, -1 to hit from melee. They pile in 6 inches, and from within 6 inches, which is really good.
That's correct. Yeah, it was really good. They could basically. Well,
yeah, they just run up to you and then just pile in and punch you.
Exactly.
Yes, and then if they're wholly within 16 of a Thunder Tusk, they can run and charge.
Oh, sweet! They can still do it all. Nice.
Yeah, movement 9.
And they're only like 110, 20 points, I think. So I think they're like 10 points more than a glutton. I think
Pretty
they have
good.
1 more attack. They still have 4.
3 from what I can see.
3 now. So they hit on 3s though.
4s. Wound on 3s. Rend 1, 2 damage.
Yeah, so they're pretty much exactly as they used to be.
Yeah, let's have a look. How many points are they? Yeti. 120 for 3.
Not
Whereas
bad for that move, I guess, is it?
Yeah, whereas Ogre Gluttons are 260 for 6. So you've got to take them in units of 6 now, which is quite cool.
You can't take them in 3s.
No. So that's quite
You
cool.
still take them in 12s, though, for 400.
Well, so now you don't. So there's no maximum unit sizes now. It's however many times you can reinforce units. So we'll talk about New Age of Sigmar, I guess.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So the changes on how units are put together. So it's still classic AoS. So it gives you like a unit size and how many points that unit is, and then depending on the size of the game, you get X amount of times you can reinforce a unit, which is essentially doubling its size.
Okay, so say this. Let's talk about the gluttons. So I buy them in a 6, and then if I can reinforce once, I can make them a unit of 12.
That's right, yeah. And then in a standard 2,000 point game, I think you can reinforce 4 times.
You can reinforce 4 times, and most units can only be reinforced once unless they're battle line, and then you can reinforce that unit twice.
I'm going to need to buy more gluttons.
Yeah, so you could take like 1 unit of 18 gluttons, and that would take 2 of your reinforcement blocks.
Oh, okay. So you get X amount to spend.
Yeah. So you get 4 essentially, and then like Sam said, battle line units can be reinforced twice. Obviously, taking up 2 of your options.
Oh, this is exciting! Like my dream of multiple gluttons running across the table is it's coming. I need to buy more. Buy more.
Do it. What I really like about this, I think, is and it's something that I always felt was a bit of an issue in War Machine and Hordes. So obviously that was a game that ostensibly was about big robots and monsters punching stuff. But anyone who really played it realized that like infantry was always better than like equivalent points of infantry were usually better than the Warjacks and War Beasts. And I kind of felt that over the last couple of editions of AoS, that was very similar. So because you could stack spells and command abilities and all of this stuff onto these big units of infantry, like you saw fewer big monsters and big characters running around, essentially, unless they were very, very good. So I like that there's a sort of restriction on these large units taking up the entire table with all the buffs on them. You know, you can only have X amount.
Don't take this away from me.
No, that's cool. I mean, like I'm not sure like how you would ever shift 18 gluttons.
Yeah.
Or
that'll take a lot of punishment.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you would only ever be fighting with like 4 or 5 of them at once because they've got a short melee range. But
it would be a beautiful sight.
Yeah. It reminds me of when I used to run that unit of 200 zombies in 8th edition fantasy. It was just 20 wide, 10 deep, and just took up like a quarter of the table.
God, I remember trying to kill that thing.
Good times.
Yeah. And then just all the vampire characters and necromancers behind it, just raising like D6 plus 10 zombies every time they were casting spells on it.
Well, that was it. I remember us having a game where I tried to use an equivalent points worth of horde of plague monks against it, and I didn't kill enough to wipe the unit out, and it just came back. Like it was devastating.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was my sort of rubbish protest against the old escalation of horde rules and armies just becoming one unit in 8th edition of fantasy. So I was like, I'm going to put 200 zombies in a unit. Yeah, see how people like that. And it was fine.
Yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah, it was better than it was better than I thought it was going to be, and it was actually a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. So damn you, Games Workshop, trying to creating great rules through my cynicism. So good job. Yeah, so that's very cool. I like so that's something that I hope, because the big like monsters and stuff that are in AoS, like the models are fantastic, and it is cool to see more of that. Obviously, Ricky's got an army made entirely of big monsters, so I assume
and little monsters
and little monsters, yeah.
I wonder, 18 of those still viable? My Mournfang riders. I just turned around because they're actually my AoS armies above my head in my bookshelf, and I looked at it and went, "Oh God, I forgot I had that."
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember playing like a few games over a couple of weeks against you, and like every time I played, you just took more and more Mournfangs.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Mournfangs come in pairs, and their battle lines. Their battle line if you're
Beastclaw Raiders.
If your general's a Beastclaw Raider, so
they come in twos.
So you could potentially have a unit of 6, but otherwise they're 2s or 4s. But lots of pairs of them running around.
I can't even field 18 really then, apart from multiple 2-man units.
Yeah, but that's super flexible, isn't it?
Yeah, that's still pretty horrendous.
Yeah, you could take like one, like if you were running them with a Beastclaw's Raider General, you could take a big unit of 6 to put all your buffs on. Although then they would have to follow the new coherency rules, you'd probably find it difficult to get them within 1 inch of 2 models each in the unit.
Yeah, they're quite hefty.
You would almost.
I'm literally going to have them rank and file.
Yeah, you would almost have to have like 5 in a line next to each other, and then sort of 1 behind, like
turn
sideways, maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe that would be very strange. But and then loads of the little ones running around and just having like an army of like champions and standard bearers.
Oh dear.
Beautiful. I think you should do it.
Well, I most probably will, to be fair, because I have them. There's no doubt about it. That's gonna turn up with Kragnos.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
It's time for some weird RV list experimentation. My favourite time of any edition of a game.
Do you think I can get one of the Stonehorn riders and stuff like that, models, and shove it on the back of Kragnos?
Probably.
Yeah, why not? There's room back there.
Just have him piggybacking him so he's like riding on his shoulders.
Yeah, with a little leash. Got you, bitch.
I mean, Kragnos' mouth is open. You could sculpt a ball gag in there and have him on a leash. Yeah, do it.
Oh dear. Oh dear. But yeah, possibly. So that's quite cool. What about you, Sam? Have you had any ideas of what you're actually?
Many.
Hold that thought. because I know that you probably have, because you don't actually do any work whilst we're at work. So we'll have a quick break, just noting the time, and then we'll go into what you're planning to use and what I'm planning to use for the start of this edition. If that's all right?
Yeah, boy.
Boy! Fantastic. Thank you for waiting through that dubstep / classical music break. Nobody actually needed to run off for a wee, so we'll just jump straight back into the conversation. Sam, have you had any thoughts about what you're going to be playing with to start with AoS 3?
No.
Yeah. I've been juggling up lists for both my Fire Slayers and my Chaos stuff, so I've got multiple versions of both lists. The one I'm most excited about is just random Blades of Corn stuff, and then there's an Archaon one that I think I need to jiggle about some more, because I think if I go and have a look at it, I had initially stuck with how I used to run it, which was with a Slaves to Darkness Demon Prince as the general. I can't do that now because he's a coalition unit, so I'll have to move that around.
Boo.
So why would you say that? Because that's not something that I've come across. What the fuck's a coalition unit?
Well,
Right.
it's obvious, isn't it?
So some factions have units they can take from other books that count as their faction. So in the case of the Day 1 FAQ for Blades of Corn, we can take Slaves to Darkness units as coalition units, and we can have 2 Slaves to Darkness units for every 4 units we've got in the army, and they count as Corn. But we have an extra layer of coalition in that we can have 1 in 4 of our units be from Beasts of Chaos, and it just automatically gets the Corn keyword rather than like the slave stuff. You can just get pick marks for it, you know how that works.
Oh, okay, yeah, because they've taken away the War Scroll battalions. The Beast of Chaos stuff can't get marks of chaos any other way now, can they?
Yeah, they can't appear in anyone else's army anymore.
Okay.
But I imagine the other Chaos factions have a similar rule for tagging Beasts of Chaos onto things.
Is that basically like what you always used to be able to take different destruction models or different chaos models or something like that? Is that the same thing?
It's essentially like that.
It's slightly different then. So this is this is in regards to still choosing your chosen sub faction, or sorry, your chosen faction, and they're sort of so coalition stuff is not allies. It's stuff that you took from other books, but you could play within your faction, right?
Yeah.
Is that what this is?
Yeah. The only stipulations are that typically I don't think you can give. No, you can give coalitions units enhancements. You can't give them. They lose their battle line. So if I were to take Chaos Warriors with the Mark of Khorne, although their battle line in Slaves to Darkness, they're no longer battle line if I take them in a Blades of Khorne army, because they're a coalition unit, and your general can't be a coalition unit.
Oh, okay. So, for example, because I'm looking at digging up my Host Arcanum stuff for my Disciples of Zinch. So Archaon, for example, would be a coalition unit because he's not within my book.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay.
Yep. So initially I got sad because I read the Blades of Khorne FAQ first, and there's a bit at the bottom of it saying no wizards under any circumstances. I was like, oh no, Archaon, but he's got his own FAQ, so he can be a coalition unit in any of the big 4 powers armies.
I would hope
including Zinch.
Okay. Yeah, that's
and good. He counts as a general even if he's not your general.
Right, okay, yeah, because I just got to a bit that said the Disciples of Zinch army can't include coalition units with Khorne or Nurgle keyword, but I assume Archaon's one overrides that.
Yeah, he's got an FAQ called War Master, which basically says, I do what I want.
Oh, good.
Like he should.
Yeah, I'm not telling him he can't do it.
Oh, okay. That's That's cool. So that's that. Okay, that's rad. Awesome. So
are you convinced? Are you happy with that?
yeah. No, that's fine because obviously AoS right in the last couple of editions is very freeform on what you could take within your armies. You just literally had to share a specific keyword.
Yeah.
Whereas this is a bit more regimented now. So that's good because I was looking at the so they can't be your general.
Yeah. So I've got to do some minor juggling with one of my Archaon lists, but I think I've got an answer to that in that I will just because I've got some basic Blades to Khorne heroes in there with him. Yeah. So I'll just make one of those the general, even though they're relatively squishy. I might just make Scar Bloodwrath the general because he can just come back to life. And then I've still got my Demon Prince running around with Archaon doing what Archaon does.
Just because you've actually read the rules, but so they can. So the coalition units can they be part of core battalions?
They can be part of core battalions,
and they can be given like spells and relics and stuff.
I'm fairly certain they can. I'll just flick to the page and double check that, so I don't sound like a nubbin. I've got the book here. Might as well have a look.
This means that they can be given one of your army's enhancements as long as they have the right keyword or the correct unit type to receive it. Yeah. And then spell laws are a spell law enhancement, artifacts of power are an artifact enhancement. That's good because I want to take the Slaves to Darkness Gaunt Summoner on disc because he's better than the Disciples of Tzeentch one.
Yeah.
And cheaper.
Poor Disciples of Tzeentch. Everything got very, very expensive in that faction.
Yeah. I was shocked when that book originally came out, and 10 horrors were 200 points, and now they're 215.
Although I've seen some people cheering for the new rally command on horror units.
Yeah.
I'll just add pink horrors back. Thank you. There we go.
Add pink horrors back, and then maybe blue horrors as well because they've also died.
Yeah, you'll never wipe this unit out.
No. I'm sure that will probably need a supplementary FAQ at some point.
More than likely.
Just because otherwise, because you could get to so say you had a unit of 10 pink horrors and they all died at various points making blue horrors. And then they all died at various points making brimstones. And then if you only had one brimstone left, would you roll 19 dice for the brimstones, 19 dice for the blues, and 20 dice for the blues, and then 10 dice for the pinks?
I imagine the rally command is restricted to the original core rules out somewhere. I think it's restricted to the original size, but I've not actually looked at it because why would I rally Blood Reavers back?
So you can use this command ability at the start of the hero phase. This unit receives the command must be more than 3 inches. Roll 1 dice for each slain model from that unit. If you roll a 6, return 1 slain. Yeah, so I'm sure that's going to need an FAQ because otherwise you've just got a perpetually expanding unit of horrors until the board is taken up.
I don't see the problem. That's funny. It's obviously they just needed to shift the horrors that are in their workshop. Yeah.
Well, that's clearly how that rule was intended to be used.
100%. I read Twitter, and on Twitter, that's what they were saying.
I haven't read
Twitter. Is that
Twitter.
not true?
I haven't read Twitter. I came up with that all by myself. By half reading one rule and making assumptions about the rest.
So that's not how you do
it. Sorry, Sam. That was one of our most fantastic tangents.
At least it was on topic.
Yeah, of course. And helpful for me, and that's all I really care about. Yes, you were talking about a demon prince for your Blades of Khorne army.
Yeah. So basically,
is that where we started?
Yeah. I've got to jiggle him around because he's a coalition unit that I was intending to use as a general, so I'll jiggle him about into something else. But I've got a couple of Fire Slayers lists ready. I've got one for the Vostar Gloch, which has always been my favourite because I like to be able to run and charge with everything. So I've The Fire Slayers, they have different lodges.
Sorry.
Previously, the favourite was one of their lodges was Hermdar. They had really great abilities where they basically just ignore battle shock and can. It was either strike twice or always fight first. One of the two things. I might be confusing one of those with one of the battalions that we can't have anymore.
Hey.
Either way, cool dwarfs.
Yeah, cool dwarfs, and I've also recreated a 3rd edition version of the ridiculous hero hammer list with all the berserkers and doomseekers and Gotrek. So I might have to try that before anything else, even though I'm not going to finish painting it yet.
It's got Gotrek in it. That's all
does
that matters.
Indeed.
Oh. Sorry,
it does indeed. Although with the day one FAQs, they've sorted. There was a prayer in the Fire Slayer book that could target just friendly heroes that would make them fight in the hero phase. So you could eventually get 3 fight phases out of Gotrek. So they've keyworded that now to just be Fire Slayers.
Good job.
Which is fair because Gotrek got significantly cheaper and none worse.
Yeah. Better, cheaper. And probably more important. Well, yeah, definitely better because he could now in his finest hour once per game to get +1 to wound and +1 save because he needed it.
Yep,
fabulous.
What happened to Felix?
He died.
He did.
He died at the end of the world, I assume.
I'm sure he's running about somewhere in a big suit of gold armor, not knowing he's Felix.
I'm not sure he was good enough to be reincarnated as a Stormcast.
Oh, he did have fabulous trousers.
They need a musician, don't they?
I'm sure fabulous trousers is enough to get you into the Storm hosts.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
You should paint one of the new ones with
that's why Johan's
trousers.
Yeah, definitely.
Be brilliant.
That's great. So that sort of brings us into one of the super big changes with AoS 3 is the change away from War Scroll battalions to core battalions. This is something that I'm very excited about because it means that people are far more likely to choose whatever they want to play with instead of just saying there's this formation that gives me all of these benefits. I will take that because it's the best.
I found it's made list building much more interesting. I mean, I've always liked list building anyway, but getting everything together going, I want all of these, but now how do I fit it into these battalions that I want? It's really interesting. There's a few standouts for me that I think, like, I'll never not take a Warlord battalion. Extra the ability to take extra enhancements is just brilliant. So like one of my Slayers lists functions around 2 Warlord battalions and a Hunters of the Heartland from the Handbook.
What's a Warlord battalion?
So the Warlord battalion, let me bring up the book.
So the core battalions now are, if you think in a very, very basic comparative way, kind of like detachments in 40k, apart from there's no resource to taking them. You just have to take the minimum to maximum requirements, and you can just have as many of them as you want in your army, and you just get a small buff, but you don't have to use them. It's just a way of
so
organizing.
Basically, if you just so happen to have 1 HQ and 2 core, for example, or 1 general and 2 core, which so happen to be a specific battalion, you could just have it because you've got that requirement.
Yes, yeah,
exactly.
Can you cross them over?
No, I don't think. I don't
they
think
can't
units
contribute to a different.
No,
to multiple, should I say?
No, I don't think they can. If I remember correctly, I think one unit can only be ascribed to 1 core battalion. Although your allied units can still form parts of core battalions as well. So they count towards you fulfilling battalions as well.
Yeah, that's very cool.
So what's the Warlord battalion?
So the Warlord battalion is 1 commander, which is just something with the leader. You need that's as a minimum. You can have 2 of those. The other minimum requirements are 2 sub commanders, which is anything with the leader keyword that has a wounds characteristic of 10 or less. and you can have 4 of those in that detachment. And then it's 1 troops, which is any unit that is not a leader, artillery, or behemoth. And then you can have 1 more of those optionally, and you get 2 benefits for this battalion, which is magnificent. So you get to pick an extra enhancement for your army on top of. You get a lot of enhancements off the bat anyway, so you can always have 1 of each type of enhancement in your army, and then things can get you extra ones, like the magnificent trait from the battalions can get you an extra enhancement. And this also has, what's the other one on there? Strategists. So once per battle, when you receive command points at the start of your hero phase, you can give yourself an extra one. So nice. I'll never not take 1 of those. That double benefit on there is really good.
It doesn't sound like something that works for me, but it's definitely cool. Definitely cool.
Yeah. It depends how you build your list. If you go down your glutton and Mornfang route, you can definitely squeeze some of those into that, I reckon.
Yeah, it's a little character bit more than anything.
Although I think a unit of 18 gluttons is begging to be in Hunters of the Hearthlands, which is one of the additional core battalions from the General's Handbook. So there's 2 extra battalions in there that you can take once rather than multiple times, like the ones from the core rules. And that one, it's all about troops units. So I think it's 2 deployed troops units and then 1 optional. So you can have up to 3 units in a Hunters of the Hearthlands, and they're just immune to, like, they can't be targeted by monstrous rampages. So you're going to need monsters to shift 18 gluttons.
And then they go, and I don't care.
Yeah, nice. You can just fight me normally and just grind me down.
I think we're onto something.
Yeah.
I think we're onto something.
Like that fits very easily into a lot of armies, and you can always have one. So like in one of my Vostarg lists, I'd take where's the one I was just looking at? I'd taken 2 Warlord battalions filled with Slayers and stuff, and I was like, I've still got some units left over, so I've got like 1 big unit of 10 Hearthguard Berserkers. So I bunged that in there, a Grimwrath Berserker and Gotrek Gurnison. So none of those can be monstrous rampaged, which is probably good.
Nice. I'm liking this. This is
I think this is going to be a really interesting addition.
This is so much better than it used to be. Like being, literally just always seeing the same stuff is what I always found with AoS. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot more variety.
Yes, yeah, that's what I'm excited about, because it felt kind of like the armies almost built themselves. Obviously, currently not looking to play AoS at any sort of high competitive standard, but in any situation where people are given essentially just free form to build their armies pretty much how they want, hopefully you'll start to see some really unique and cool armies instead of just like you said, the same sort of battalion plus battalion equals army. That you used to kind of see, which is very cool. I'm kind of excited about that. So you mentioned the potential to get extra command points by using one of those battalions, and command points have now changed, haven't they?
Yes.
In how you generate them, what you can use them on, and what have you. So previously it was kind of like 40k, apart from you generated them in the game instead of starting with a bunch, and then you could just use them on whatever you want. Now, as far as I'm aware, you get them at the start. Each player gets them at the start of the battle round, 1 for the player going first, and then 2 for the player going second. And you have to use them or they disappear at the end of the battle round.
Yeah.
So you can only use them like in that turn. But there's a lot of things you can use there's a lot more generic command abilities. Now.
Like, I think you get an extra one as well if your general's still on the table.
Oh, okay, rad. That's really cool. So previously there were the 3. There was at the double, which is the automatic 6-inch on a run move, which is still there. There's the forward to victory, which was a reroll of a charge, which still exists. And then there was the Inspiring Presence, which automatically passed a Battle Shock, and that's still there. So now, in addition to those, we've got Rally, as Sam also mentioned, which is essentially just trying to revive dead models in a unit, which is quite cool. There is All-Out Attack. So you can pick that when you're picking a unit to shoot or fight, and essentially they get +1 to hit until the end of the phase. That's quite cool. So just these units fight better, and then they fight better. That's quite cool. There's All-Out Defense, so the opposite to it. So you can pick a unit in the shooting or combat phase, and they get +1 save. That seems very powerful, especially with the change to Mystic Shield. So Mystic Shield's now gone back to +1 save again. So you can potentially have these units that are quite hard to kill. I haven't seen anything that says it doesn't stack, but then again, I've not thoroughly read through the core rules.
I can't remember. I know hit and wound is capped out at +1. I can't remember if saves are or not.
Yeah, I can't imagine that they are because they're not in 40k. But yeah, I'll double check that. But yeah. So that's pretty cool. And then there's two that seem to have got quite a lot of chatter. So there's the Unleash Hell in the enemy charge phase, where essentially you can Overwatch. So you can use this command ability in the charge phase after an enemy unit has finished a charge move. The unit must be within 9 inches of the enemy unit and more than 3 inches away from all other enemy units. So they don't have to be the target of the charge. They just have to be close to that enemy unit. And essentially, you get a free round of shooting with them, but you're at -1 to hit.
Yeah, that's pretty savage.
Cool. That's quite cool. And then there's Redeploy, which is in the enemy movement
40k.
phase. Yeah. Essentially, use it in the enemy movement phase after an enemy unit has made a normal move, run, or retreat. As long as the unit finishes within 9 inches of your unit, you can make essentially a D6-inch move with your unit.
Yeah.
So you can sort of shift them. So that's potentially shifting them potentially out of charge range or towards a piece of terrain or even, to actually close that gap to potentially make your charge easier in the sort of next turn. There's a lot you can do with that. What do you guys think?
I'm thinking Yetis.
It's very cool.
There
is a caveat though. There's no more dumping 1 million command abilities onto one unit in a turn. So a unit can only be affected by one command ability in a turn.
Yes, yeah. So that was something that we saw sort of. So in AoS 1, only your general could use a command ability, and they could use one command ability a turn. In AoS 2, command points appeared, and for a very short period of time, you could stack the same command abilities onto the same units and multiple command abilities onto the same units. Then lots of the newer command abilities meant that units couldn't be affected by the same one over and over again. But some were left out. So, for example, like the Gloomspike Gits, so like the Grotz ones, they couldn't stack them, but the old Idoneth Deepkin book, Volturnos, could give a unit of Deepkin +6 attacks on each of their weapons by just eating all of the command points. But as Sam was saying, now you can be affected by one and only command ability at a time for a unit, which is rad. I really like that.
And you can't use the same command ability more than once in the same phase.
That's
despite how many people have got it.
Despite how many people have got it.
That's cool. So you can't say, oh, I've got all of there's little bits and pieces that still generate extra command points in AoS. So I'm not going to have a shooty army and in my shooting phase all three of these characters giving units +1 to hit or whatever.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, no, I like that. That seems to be a nice balancer. Yeah, really cool. I like it. Yeah, something a bit different and makes the heroes a bit more important as well. I know that they can.
Some armies just never really needed them, did they? They were just more of a requirement.
Yeah, which is really cool. And then speaking of the sort of importance of heroes, heroic actions are now a thing.
Yeah.
So at the start of each hero phase, each player can do one heroic action. And then there's a list of heroic actions you can do. So there's heroic leadership.
Is there a heroic landing?
There's kind of. Yeah, kind of. So essentially you can heroic leadership. So on a 4+ you get an extra command point. That can only be used on that hero, and you get +2 to that roll if your general's dead. So that's sort of somebody else taking up command. You can heroic willpower, so you can try and unbind a spell with someone that's not a wizard. So someone just thinking really hard that spell is not going to kill everyone.
It's very, very destruction there.
yeah. Oh no, it's fine.
Yeah.
Then there's their finest hour, which is kind of superhero heroic landing, sort of. Looking badass.
Going to be spunking that on Gotrek a lot.
Yes. So as sort of said earlier, they get +1 to their wound rolls and +1 save until the end of the turn, and they can only do it once per battle. So if the big scary Nagashes and Archaons and Gotreks and Kragnoses weren't scary enough, once per game, +1 to wound, +1 save.
Huzzah!
And then there's heroic recovery, where you can essentially take a bravery test and recover some wounds, which is really cool because some armies don't have sort of healing abilities outside of the endless spells.
Yeah. I've just realised their finest hour on Archaon is pretty terrifying, because in the new FAQ for Slayer of Kings, it no longer says natural 6s.
Oh, is he 6+ again?
Yeah, it's just 6s.
Oh, is it just? Let's have a look.
I've got the FAQ here on my machine. Slayer of Kings. Each time this model fights, if the it does say unmodified. Sorry, mate. Yeah, I was excited for a second.
That's terrifying because
excited there, Sam.
I got excited
because you can give because otherwise each one could be doing it on 4s.
Yeah, for a sec, I was going to say if that is that, then it's clearly an omission and a cock up that will get fixed. But no, it's me getting excited.
Yeah, they caught you. They know what they're doing.
Although +1 to wound and save on Archaon is amazing. So
yes, 100%, absolutely outstanding. So sort of flip side of that, characters and heroes are better, but also monsters are better. So there's now Sam sort of mentioned that the one of the current battalions for this year's General Handbook makes you immune to monstrous rampages. So let's find out what monstrous rampages do. So at the end of the charge phase. I'm slurring my words. I've had too much rum today. Each player can carry out one monstrous rampage with each friendly monster. So, oh my word!
I don't know what it does, but
the player whose turn it is carries out their rampages first, and you can't carry out the same rampage more than once per turn. So there is kind of a caveat to it. So there's raw. So pick one enemy unit within 3 inches and roll a dice. On the 3+, that unit can't issue or receive orders in the combat phase. That's pretty cool. There's stomp. Pick an enemy unit within 3 that's not a monster and roll a dice. On a 2+, they take D3 mortal wounds. There's titanic duel.
Dun, 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 dun.
Which is like the picture is between some sort of cockatrice and a manticore, which are two of the smallest monsters in the game. Like that could be Archaon.
Indeed.
That's literally old world through and through, where the monsters were literally just a couple of inches high.
Yeah, that is pick an enemy monster within 3 inches and get +1 to hit rolls when you target that monster in the following combat phase. And then there's my favourite, which is Smash to Rubble. So pick a faction terrain feature or defensible terrain feature, and on a 3+, it's destroyed. So you can just punch people's terrain out of existence, which is good.
Terrains is the specific terrains for factions are still free.
Yes.
So that's really cool, isn't it? Because most people generally take it if they've got one, because they do stuff for nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And in some cases, some people's entire game plan revolves around the buffs and stuff you can get out of it. And now you can just fly a cockatrice up to it and punch it to death.
Maybe I'm stopping looking at my Mornfangs and looking back at my Thundertusks.
Back at the Thundertusks and
it's interesting to see that your faction terrain still does what it does, because I know in both of my armies they've changed significantly from what they did originally.
I think mine's still the same.
It's still the cooking pot, isn't it?
It's still the cooking pot, yeah. Which is so random because I don't really have any normal ogres apart from that one unit of gluttons.
Apart from the 18 gluttons, the entire tribe.
Yeah, well, true. And a bunch of nobblers, because
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you need food.
Food, exactly.
Right,
No, carry on. Go on.
Sorry?
I was just saying that we could Beast Claw Raider up the pot and just be like frozen ice cream or something.
Yeah. Or
just make them an ice cream van.
Or instead of you could put it on the back of the scrap launcher.
I was about to say the scrap launcher.
So you could have it being pulled about, and then a butcher riding the Rhinox or whatever.
Yeah, like a shitty apron.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Oh, we're on to something.
Those ghetto Mr. Whippy.
On that note,
we'll take a quick break, and then we'll just chat about what I'm going to be working on and some changes to the endless spells, and then we'll wrap up. Okay, thank you for sticking with us through the second dubstep break there, Sam. So carry on with our release day coverage of AoS 3. This time it's personal.
Lovely.
I think the title of the episode should be AoS 3 with a Vengeance, though, because
we can do that.
Number 3 is the best of all the Die Hard films. So we'll.
It is a good film.
It is good.
It is a good film. Yeah.
Cool. So, Sam is going for his sort of Fire Slayers, Blades of Corn. Ricky's looking at his Ogre Moor Tribes and his Beast Court Raiders. I'm going to be taking
that's
another...
nice.
What was that?
Nothing.
That's nice.
Just being cut off. That's... That hurts. Do I do that to you two? Apologies.
No, not at all. Just no one cares what you want to say today, apparently. So I just carried on with the flow.
All right then.
No,
I'm kidding. Right. So, and I'm going to be looking at my Disciples of Tzeentch.
I was about to say, was the Tzeentch tempting you now?
Yeah. Well, I sort of got super excited about them about this time last year, actually, because I found that I could do an army of Screamers and floaty discs and things, and some cool things with Archaon under the new Tzeentch book. So I sort of started building bases and then all of that, and then didn't play any AoS or paint any of it. So so I'll look at that, and sort of fittingly, there are some changes to endless spells now as well. So, first of all, there is now a maximum number of endless spells an army can have, which some people can rejoice about.
I didn't
know,
actually spot that.
Do all armies have endless spells now?
Not every army has unique endless spells.
But they still have access to the basic ones.
Yeah, so there's
okay.
Yeah, there's the basic ones plus the malign power. No, forbidden knowledge, forbidden sorcery expansion.
Yeah, I think that's the one.
What's that box that came out at the start of second?
Malign sorcery.
Is that what that is?
That,
I've got
that was
like
the
a
first
bag
one.
of spells.
Yeah, that was so malign. Yeah, malign sorcery is the box of like 12 endless spells.
My bad.
And then there was forbidden. I think it's forbidden power with the other one. So that's the one with the soul seeker, the bridge,
the floating Nagash head.
Yeah, all of the spooky ones.
Is that what this is? I've just got this bag of spells that came with a second edition box.
I don't know. I can't see what's in front of you.
Let me fucking talk.
Sorry,
dick. It's got the Pokemon head and the walls and stuff.
Yeah.
And is that? Is it?
Yeah, that's the one.
It's not, is it? You're just humouring me.
No, it genuinely is.
Oh, okay.
No, I am for once not being a sarcastic twat.
Okay, cool. Nice. There you go. Carry on.
Or am I?
I don't care.
Yes,
lost the will.
So now with so similarly with your army structure, you can still have a limited number of leaders and behemoths and artillery, etc. And you can have up to, in 2,000 points, I think it's 4 endless spells, which is a nice change, because with my old Clan Scryer army, I think I had 7.
Does that mean you could literally just have like 7 spells floating around the battlefield?
It did, yeah. And
oh wow.
Just from Callum's side of the table.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, exactly. I didn't. I appreciated obviously they were in model form, but I didn't really. I mean, I never played it for the whole second edition, so I never really saw how many ended up on the battlefield. That's
some
quite funny.
Yeah. Some armies threw like quite a lot out, and then some. Like a lot of the endless spells weren't really that useful anyway. Whereas now, like I think they've all had like a rules rewrite. A bunch of them have changed. The points have obviously gone up and down on them as well, to sort of cover that. But I think there were some instances where some armies were putting in like just a ridiculous amount, just because they had so many wizards, so they could cast so many in a turn. So yeah, that's kind of changed. That's quite cool. And also, do they move at the start of every hero phase now? Is that what they do?
I can't remember off the top of my head. Let me bring up the core rules. I'll go and have a look at the magic phase.
This is super exciting for the listeners.
It is. Right, Endless Spell is a magical entity that is summoned onto the battlefield by casting yada yada yada. Bullshit. Endless spells can't be attacked or affected by abilities unless it says so. Blah blah blah. Summoning, yeah, cast it. Dispelling, it's the same. Where's the bit about moving the fucking thing? Oh, here we go. Predatory endless spells. Many endless spells are immobile, and once summoned, they remain at the same location. However, some can move about. Blah blah blah. I'm paraphrasing. Predatory endless spells. Before moving predatory endless spells, you must first determine which are controlled and which are wild. A predatory endless spell within 30 inches of the model that summoned it is controlled by that wizard. A wizard can control 1 predatory endless spell per hero phase. If there is more than 1 predatory endless spell that a friendly wizard could control, you must pick which one it is. Predatory endless spells that are not controlled are wild, so moving them. So after determining whether they're controlled or not, the player whose turn is taking place moves all of the predatory endless spells controlled by friendly wizard. The opponent then does the same. Once all controlled spells have been moved, the players alternate picking 1 wild predatory endless spell to move, starting with the player whose turn it is taking place until all of the wild endless spells have been moved. A player must pick a wild predatory endless spell to move if there are any eligible to do so, and cannot pick a wild predatory endless spell that has already moved that phase. When a player picks a predatory endless spell to move, they are considered to be the commanding player of the predatory endless spell until the start of the next hero phase. All other endless spells are under the command of the player that summoned them.
Oh, okay. So essentially, you are a bit more in control of them now than you used to be, but they move every hero phase.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So that makes sense. Why you can have they've put restrictions on how many you can have because 30 inches is quite a big range.
The big chunk, isn't it?
Yeah. So having control moving those about is quite cool. That's a really interesting change. It makes the hero phase quite busy.
There's a lot to do in that phase now.
Yeah, with each player generating command points using some command abilities that are in the command phase, heroic actions, and endless spells. It seems a bit more a bit more full and fleshed out as a phase instead of just generate command point, cast spells, done. Which is
the shooting phase is a really small phase though in AoS, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be
for most armies. So I think
depends who's on the other end of the board.
Yeah,
Lumineth, we're looking at you.
I feel there's a bit of a balance there, isn't there? Like I suppose with Lumineth though, they've got a busy shooting and magic phase, command phase, hero phase, whatever you want to call it.
We're getting there. Crossing between the two. Now that there's a command phase in 40k that actually does something.
For some.
Well, yeah, for some armies. Mechanicus, it takes half an hour.
Oh no.
That's very cool. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing with all those new wizardy spells. With my army screamers flying around.
Mention of note: put your black armbands on. The Balewind Vortex is no more.
Oh, is it gone forever?
Gone forever.
Does that mean we could just use it as a terrain piece now?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, it's a cool terrain piece, but like some people were complaining about it online, and then lots of people very rightly pointed out they haven't actually made it for a very, very long time.
Yeah, true.
It was like I can remember it being all the rage in first edition AoS, and I was like, I'm gonna have to buy one. Ugh. And it was like £10 or whatever. It was like ridiculously cheap for a huge model.
I used to have one just to have a Chaos Sorcerer slinging spells at Archaon at a much bigger range.
Yes, I used to. I was a very basic bitch and did what every other Tzeentch army did and put a Gaunt Summoner on it to double the range of his. Pick a enemy unit. Every model within range takes a mortal wound on a 4+ to 36 inches.
I didn't have a wizard.
There you go.
Sad times.
Well, rip the Balewind Vortex. It was a good couple of editions. You did well. You shaped the meta in some instances with the old Croaknado.
Yeah,
and
Croaknado. And can you imagine?
Yeah, Croak doesn't fit on there anymore, so Games Workshop killed it.
Yeah,
that's probably why.
They took the Balewind Vortex out to a nice farm and shot it.
Yeah, I guess it's just one of those things that they could never really get the rules right on. Because I know that with all the changes they made in AoS 2, it was like it essentially just made your wizard's base bigger, and because the whole model counted as your wizard, and then that caused its own issues. I can remember in AoS 1 where, like, just to start with, anything could go on a Balewind Vortex.
Yeah,
and then
there was lots of balancing acts going on.
Yeah, and then they're like, monsters can't summon Balewind Vortexes. Yeah, that saves it. And then I remember watching one of the AoS GTs, and there being a Disciples of Tzeentch army with a change host, and the changeling deployed in the enemy's deployment zone, summoned the Balewind Vortex, and then used the change host ability to swap places with the Lord of Change. So the Lord of Change was on a Balewind Vortex, and you couldn't ever go within 3 inches. So you couldn't charge. You couldn't be within 3 inches of a Balewind Vortex. There was just this Lord of Change, turn 1 in the opponent's deployment zone, just like casting spells, and you could only shoot at it.
That's some next level bullshit, and I love it.
Just like, and it was the person was using the Forge World Exalted Lord of Change model. So it was huge, and it was on this tiny little.
How
vortex.
big was the Balewind?
It was a standard Balewind.
Oh my
and
god!
Balewind with
And
brass rod through the
and
middle.
a huge blob of blue tack, I think it was. But I remember being like, "How has he? Oh, that's terrible." That's probably what stopped that.
It was probably 3D printed.
No, not at Warhammer World.
Wow.
Surely not.
This is before.
But yeah. So very exciting. So rip the Balewind Vortex. I've got a painted one somewhere. I think it's the only endless spell I've finished painting. So that's sad.
Yeah, I've got a painted one. I'll just
sling it on eBay.
Oh, chuck it in a box and
Yeah.
never see it again.
I might just chuck it to the club to use as a bit of fantasy terrain.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool. We're gonna have a box of Balewinds.
Yeah, amazing.
That's
Shotgun the Balewind board.
Yeah, just.
I'm thinking wizard with Balewind coming out hand.
That would be huge. Woo!
just cut the starry thingy off. Just got this big windy thing. You got the new elves have got wind spells, didn't they?
Yeah. One of them's flying on a cloud.
Yeah,
So...
let's make this happen. Let's bring the Balewind back.
That's ridiculous. I love it. Fantastic.
Like
So I think we're all in the same sort of place of sort of gingerly coming back to Age of Sigmar after we dominated by 40k for the past couple of years. But I imagine we won't look at it seriously with all of these wonderful confrontation events over the next 6 months.
Yeah.
We'll, play some AoS.
I'll use it as an excuse not to play practice games of 40k and just raw dog my way into confrontation.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely cannot wait. In one quick note in the AoS versus 40k wars that I posted in one of our group chats earlier today, the General's Handbook is such a nice quality compared to the chapter approved.
Yeah, the production quality is.
Is it the same as the first chapter approved?
No, it's better.
No.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
this is the nicest little book. I love it so much.
It's hardback. It's thick hardback. It's got like an elastic strap to keep it closed. It's ring bound, and it's got the sections tabbed off, so you can immediately jump to them. It's really nice, and then
it's very nice.
And then there's the little booklet with the points values. Whereas chapter approved for the same cost is just 2 little shitty books that aren't even ring bound. So as soon as you open it, it starts to get creased.
I wasn't paying attention. Do you know what the little tokens are that came with it?
Yes, they are. So I think some of them. There's 8 little tokens, and they're for objectives, I assume. And then there's the other ones are for the match play missions. So,
those are for the battle tactics. I wasn't paying attention enough to realise what the little round ones were.
Yeah, I think
they're too small. They're too small for objectives.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. Objectives are 40 mil.
Oh, I don't know then.
Have they done it the same as 40k?
So the missions have changed in AoS. So each mission has its own. So there's no like generic scoring like there is in 40k. Like there's no like hold objectives. There's no secondaries in that way. Each mission's got its own way of scoring points. You then have I think it's a list of 8. I think it's 8. What are they called? They are
grand strategies.
No, not the grand strategies.
Battle tactics.
Battle tactics. So essentially, at the start of each of your turns, or the start of the battle round, you pick one of these battle tactics to sort of achieve that turn, and you score points for achieving it at the end of your turn.
Okay.
And you can only do each one once per game. So they're sort of like secondaries, but you sort of do it as the game progresses. And then when you put your army list together, you choose one grand strategy, which is like kill the opponent general but keep your general alive, etc., or something like that. And you get
does all this need writing down?
Yes, yeah. There is a handy like score sheet.
Oh,
yeah.
Which I imagine will appear on whiteboards at some point.
It might very well do.
Might very well do. And essentially you lump all of those together, and they give you the score for the game. And then if you draw, it's essentially the person who completes the most battle tactics wins. And then if that's drawn, it's the person who completes their grand strategy. So
that's good.
Yeah, so there's actually a mechanism for sorting out draws in AoS where there's not actually in 40k. But in 40k,
they're really rare.
Yeah, you're each scoring up to 100 points. So it's very rare for that to I've never seen it. I've never seen anybody draw in 40k.
I'd like to say no, but I've only ever seen one.
I know I've managed one at a confrontation event just to throw all the scores out. We somehow managed to
come
come
the one I'm thinking of.
Well, but not in 9th edition.
Oh no, I've only played one game of 9th edition.
I think I had one draw in October.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, I honestly to God, I think I had one draw in October, which is the one I don't know who it was, but I reckon I could find out. But yeah, one draw. That's all I've seen in this edition so far.
Yeah.
But then I've not played any.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Or no one else has. So.
Yeah, the only one I've played in is that confrontation. So, just sort of, I was a bit surprised when I picked it up this morning from Fistful of Dice. I was like, this is really nice.
Better. Yeah.
This is.
Oh, like, I'm gonna have to order mine now.
Yeah, it's
along with my Kragnos.
And the back page is like just a quick reference of command abilities and basic spells as well. Like,
do you have the rules and stuff in it, like you do the chapter approved?
Yeah.
So it's literally just a better book.
It's got everything you need, and this one even has the core battalions in it, whereas the chapter approved doesn't have the core detachments in.
It's a much better quality product.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, real nice.
In terms of gaming supplements, 40k is the red-headed stepchild in this instance.
Yeah. The AoS team have knocked it out of the park. If they produce it like this every year, hopefully it means that the chapter approves will look like this eventually.
Nah, chapter approves is always going to be the poor man's version because it would always just sell and they don't have to pay for it.
that's true. But this is really nice. I was surprised by it. Really good.
Nice.
Right. Any other comments this week, gentlemen, or shall we wrap things up fairly early?
I think we should wrap things up.
Wrap things up fairly early.
Dinner.
So we can all get some dinner, and then we can get nice and boozed up and watch the England game.
Yeah,
football. Yes. So hope everybody has a good weekend, rummaging through their Dominion boxes and struggling through reading the new edition's rules and piecing armies together, working on any like 40k or any sort of Warhammer projects. Send us some pictures. We'll post up some work in progress, and we'll do some interaction. And we'll wait for the next episode, which we're going to decide what we're going to be doing, because I believe that's actually on Confrontation Weekend, isn't it, Ricky?
It is, yeah. So potentially that Friday night, I might be a little bit busy.
Potentially that Friday night. Potentially we might postpone it for a week, or we'll figure something out, and we will post on our media pages just to let people know what we're doing.
I mean, we could try and wing it.
Yeah, we could.
We could be live whilst we're sorting tables out. Yeah.
To be fair, Sam can be at home, nice and cozy. Yeah.
I'll be nice and snug and provide filler while you two grunt and groan in the background.
No, it doesn't go there.
But yeah, we could potentially do a brief confrontation sort of list rundown or something like that, just depending on time or whatever. But we'll sort that out.
We can sort something out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Right. Well,
Great.
until next time, hope everybody has a safe couple of weeks. Plays a lot of Warhammer and buys a lot of toys. Any shout outs from you?
Nothing from me.
Yeah,
Go on,
actually.
Ooh.
There was an Instagram account that I've been following for quite a while. And I think this 100% deserves a shout out because recently he's been knocking stuff out the park. And I just need to get my Instagram up. It is Baharoff, the Cry of the Old... sorry, no, it's not true at all. Baharoff, the Cry of Old Paint. Weird, eh? However...
Right, I see it. Let's have a look.
It's not just an Elder account, is it?
No, it's not at all.
Oh, wow.
I think it was, but recently he's been doing some like quite John Blanchy, archaic, imperial...
There's some nutty stuff on here. I fucking love it.
Yeah, that D-kit of the Space Marine.
I saw those planes and I don't like them. But
ignore the planes.
But that Space Marine is that
Look
diorama.
at that Space Marine, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you scroll a little further down, you've literally got like a massive great alien ball thing plugged into some kind of Mechanicus style
thing,
Magosy thing. It's just incredible.
Yeah, this is mental. I love it.
It's so good. So yeah, but Baharoff, the Cry of Old Paint. It's worth a good look because it's a bit mental. Some of this stuff.
Yeah, there's some wild stuff there.
Yeah, I'm quite impressed.
For sure.
Lovely stuff.
Lovely.
Have a good evening.
Yes. Have a wonderful time, everybody, and we will catch you soon.